So today we are finishing chapter 2. So the last section is 2.7. It's all about solving equations using the distributive property. So our goal is to solve equations once you see that there's parentheses in them. This actually shouldn't be anything new to anyone. You learned the distributive property in chapter 1. You've learned all the different ways to solve multi-step equations in chapter 2. You're basically just putting the two skills together to take care of the parentheses and then to solve the equation. Any questions before we get going? All right, you do not need to write down what's on this first slide. We are just going to practice distributing. Let me repeat myself. You do not need to write down what's on this slide. So, all you have to do is tell me how to distribute. How do I distribute? What does it mean to distribute? Do parentheses. What does that mean? 3 people have said do parentheses. Distribute the 2 is what I'm looking for. What does it mean to distribute? What do I do with the 2? Yes, you multiply it by the x, and you multiply it by the 1. This is the distributive property from chapter 1. Is it coming back to you all? All right, what is 2 times x? 2x. What is 2 times 1? 2. So that's how you would simplify using the distributive property. Questions on that one? How would I do the next one? 3 times 2x. Then what? 3 times 4. What goes in between those? A minus. You just keep the same symbol. All right, now you can actually do the math. This is going to be 6x minus 12. All right, same thing on the next one. We're going to start by multiplying. So it's going to be 3 times 3x plus 3 times 1 plus 4x. Now this one's a little different because after we do that multiplying step like this, we're not quite done. What else can we do? Add the 9x and the what? 4x. Very good. So if you have like terms, you can go ahead and combine those as well. Any questions? All right, the last one is really tricky. Don't do anything with that 2 yet. Just rewrite the 2. What am I distributing? I'm not distributing the 2. The negative? The negative 1. So I am multiplying by negative 1. And again by negative 1. So I have 2 minus 2x. And then I'm going to have a plus negative 1. Plus negative 1 is the same thing as minus 1. Now I have some like terms. The 2 and the negative 1. What is 2 minus 1? 2 minus 1, guys.
Oh, 2. 1.
1. So I have 1 minus 2x. So that's just a little bit of a review from chapter 1. Any questions? All right. So if you see an equation with a set of parentheses, you need to use the distributive property before you do any of these things. Before you combine like terms, before you get the variables together, and before you solve the equation like normal. The absolute first thing you need to do is get rid of the parentheses using the distributive property. Any questions on that idea? All right, here is the step-by-step directions that I want you to write down. So, how to solve. Yeah, are you really complaining? Do your other teachers not make you write at all? I mean, this is like a really short slide. How to solve. 4 whole steps. Stretch those hands out. Oh, you can do it. Number 1, you want to get rid of the parentheses by distributing. Number 2, you want to combine your like terms. That's what we did on Thursday of last week. Number 3, you want to get your variables together on the same side. That's like we did yesterday. And then you solve like normal. Remember when we solve like normal, we undo adding and subtracting first, then we undo multiplying and dividing. Yeah, what's that called? Distribute. I'm distributing the 2, so that's 2 times 5x minus 2 times 1. Now I'm going to write out what I actually would get. That would be 10x minus 2 still equals 38. I didn't change anything. Now, some of you are getting so good at distributing that you don't need to write this part. That is fine with me. If you can do the 2 times 5x in your head and come up with 10x, and 2 times 1 in your head and come up with 2, that's fine. I just write this step for people who are still struggling a little bit with distributing. So if you can go from here to here, boom, do it. From there, it should appear to be just like a 2-step equation that you took a quiz on like early last week and did really well on. So how would I do this? Add the 2. Very good. So that's 10x equals 40. Very good. And the final step, divide by the 10. So what do you get? X equals 4. Very good. And what are your questions? How do I start this one? Distribute. Good. Do you guys like the step where I show what I'm multiplying? Or do you want me to do like the faster way?
Faster way.
No.
I'll write it out. Okay, so 7 times 4 minus 7 times a. We actually have to distribute on the other side as well. So this is going to be 3 times a minus 3 times 4. Some of you could skip that step and go right to this next step. I'll have 28 minus 7a equals 3a minus 12. If you can go straight from here to here, boom, do it. All right, next thing I want to do is simplify any like terms. Are there any like terms over here? Are there any like terms over here? So let's try to get these x's together. Well, they're a's in this case. So do I want to move the negative one or the positive one? What? Negative. Always move the negative one. It's just easier to work with positive numbers. So I'm going to add 7a to both sides. That gives me 28 equals 10a minus 12. It is a 10. All right. What would you like to do next? Plus 12. Good. That gives me 40 equals 10a. And you divide by 10, and again we get a 4. So a equals 4 here. Raise your hand if you have any questions.
Push the button. Push the button.
All right, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all those parentheses. How am I going to do that?
Times
Distribute. So that's going to be 6 times 2x plus 6 times 3 equals, do the same thing over here, 2 times 3x minus 2 times 8. That is 12x plus 18 equals 6x minus 16. Are I don't really see any like terms on the same side of the equal sign, so I can try to get my x's together. How am I going to do that? We're going to subtract the 6x. You could subtract the 12x. You'll just end up with some negative signs. I like to avoid those when possible. So I'm actually going to move the little guy. I'm going to move the 6. So this is 6x plus 18 equals negative 16. Ooh. Yep, we're going to subtract the 18. So 6x equals negative 34. Final step. Divide by 6. Now, this is a tricky one because we can't divide that evenly. So just go ahead and type it into your calculator. Give me the decimal approximation. 6666. Okay, so this is negative 5.666666. So we're going to say 6 with a line over it. If you prefer to reduce the fraction, that is fine. You would have negative 17 over 3. Both of those are acceptable answers. But since I'm assuming you all have calculators, we'll just go with that one. What are your questions? All right, here's number 4. All right, I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to distribute the 4. Then I'm going to distribute the 7. All right, so when I actually do the math, I get 4y minus 16 equals 14y plus 7. All right, let's get those y's together. Do you want to move the 4y or the 14y? Yeah, try to pick on the little guy when you can. All right, so that's going to give me negative 16. The 16 is still negative. The negative didn't go anywhere. Equals 10y plus 7. What next? Excuse me. Yes, we subtract 7 from both sides. I'm going to start writing up over here. That's negative 23 equals 10y. You can probably already tell we're going to get a decimal because I need to divide both sides by 10. 10 does not go into 23. When you type it into your calculator, you get negative 2.3 equals y. That is an acceptable answer in here. Or you could actually leave it negative 23 over 10 if you like. No parentheses. So what do you think I should do? They're on different sides of the equal sign. You guys are on the right track. You want to get the 4 and the 7 together, right? Yeah. So which one do you want to move? The 4. Now, if you move the 4, what will you have left over here? Nothing. You don't want to have nothing left. So usually we pick on the little guy except when it's the only thing on one side of the equal sign. Here we want to pick on the 7. How do I move a whole 7x? Yeah, we need to subtract the 7x. That will give us negative 3x equals, keep that negative with the 30. From here, it's only one step. What should I do? Divide by negative 3. What's a negative divided by a negative? Positive 10. What are your questions? So, you guys should all have your homework? Girls, do you all have your homework?
Yeah.
Okay, focus in on number 2. For some reason, number 2 is like 10 times harder than every other problem on your homework. So let's talk about it together, and then you can try the easier ones on your own. So, what am I distributing here? What's right in front of the parentheses? A negative 1. So the 8 is not changing at all. The 8 just drops straight down. Boom. I am multiplying the parentheses by a negative 1. So negative 1 times 3 plus negative 1 times x. And then nothing changes on the right side either. Any questions so far? Now I'm just going to simplify the multiplication. So now I have 8 minus 3. And then I'll have plus a negative 1x. Plus a negative 1x is the same thing as minus 1x. So I'm just going to clean it up as I go. Now, this one's really hard because your variables are on different sides of the equal sign and you have like terms to worry about. So let's do the like terms first. What is 8 minus 3? 5 minus 1x equals x minus 9. Now we can get our x's together. How am I going to get these x's together? Here's, sorry, my line of equality is sort of all messed up. Yeah, the easiest way to do it would be to add 1x to both sides. So you're left with 5 equals 1x plus 1x is 2x minus 9. And then you add the 9. 14 equals 2x.
Wait, what?
14 equals 2x. Someone said the answer. The answer is 7. You get 7 by dividing both sides by 2. So you end up with 7 equals x, or x equals 7. I'm going to leave that on the board for a little bit. This is, like I said, about 10 times trickier than the rest of them. So if you're having a hard time following this one, I would say that's probably normal. Give the other ones a shot. They should appear to be a little bit easier for you. You do have about 15 minutes, though, so if you have questions, let me know. And we can talk about them either as a class or individually, depending on how common the question is. Any questions at the moment? All right.